I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your cattle market summary for the week ending April the 28th, where we saw that just fantastic market, very impressive highs everywhere, life of contract highs on your board, highs for the year on both fats and feeder cattle, and just climbing a lot further than anybody had expected. But now we start to wonder, is this a peak or a plateau we've been climbing? A lot of times when you're looking straight up, you're not sure what you're going to find when you get to the top. We're all hoping that we get a plateau, but if we hit a peak and we come right back down, it'll be all for naught. Guys didn't get to cash in on their grass yearlings, but I'm thinking that we're going to hold these levels for a while, albeit we're going into the summer months, but we're just now getting to the part of the late spring there where we should be starting to see some gains, and we saw them early this time, so maybe we can hold it for a while. But no doubt there will be some days in the dog days of summer that this market's going to look pretty sick, and it always is, so you better just get ready for it. But there'll be a time in July and August where you look back on this past week and wonder what happened to it. But you look at the board for last week, live cattle futures on the June contract. Monday was down $1.85. A lot of people have already forgot about that. Monday was down hard after that cattle on feed report, but down $1.85 on the fats for Monday June contract. Tuesday was up 97, Wednesday up 270, Thursday up $3 limit, and Friday up $2.50 there to end the week for June contract at 124.02. That's $7.32 higher for the week. April had to run and run and run to catch cash, and actually blew by it a little bit, ending its contract at 138, gaining almost $18 in a month. But the weighted average for last week's fat cattle trade on a live basis is going to be closer to 136.5, so it didn't really have to go quite that far. But the feeder cattle contract on May, Monday was down $1.80, Tuesday up just 22 cents, Wednesday up $4.40, Thursday up the $4.50 limit, and Friday up $2.97 to end the week with May contract at 149.55, up $10.30 for the week, almost $17 compared to the end of last month or the previous month. And April went off the board at 141.38. At the fat cattle trade last week was very active and saw a lot more trade than we thought we would, because we'd seen 125,000 head week in the 5 area the previous week, but we had another 123,000 head week just through Thursday, and undoubtedly there'll be a few more sales in the 5 area that adds on to that for Friday. So we're going to be very close to 125,000 2 weeks in a row negotiated, and that's a healthy market right there. But live basis trades from 135 to 140, $4 to $7 higher. Dress trade from 212, which was just steady with some early trade, all the way up to 219, but most of that late trade, the established market, was 217 to 219, which would have been $5 to $7 higher. Your weighted average is going to come in just under 217. But slaughter for last week was another big surprise there, 624,000. And we just started seeing some 600,000 head weeks here this week. Earlier we hadn't seen it for consistently, hardly ever at all, for years. But 624,000 head, that's 29,000 more than the previous week and 34,000 more than the same week a year ago. Box beef cutout values surged there late in the week too, as these packers are starting to hold their customers up for ransom, trying to pay for these fat cattle that they're having to buy. They're going to make the box beef cutout values go higher too. The average trade for last week, and it closed higher, but the average trade for last week on choice carcasses was 219.56, up 393. Selects at 206.13, up 364, with a almost $13.50 spread between the two. Your actual dressed weights come in lower, 4 pounds lower last week. That's for the week ending April the 15th, 848 pounds. That's 4 pounds lower than the previous report and some 30 pounds lighter than the same time a year ago. Cold storage report come in with red meat supplies in storage 5% down compared to last month, 7% down compared to last year. Beef only supplies stockpiled in cold storage 8% less than last month and 4% less than the same time a year ago. But cash feeder cattle market really $4 to $10 higher is what the market ended up being at the end of the week compared to the previous week. Your calves were that much higher in the plains and in the Midwest, but in the Southeast your calves are cheaper than they were the last week or so, because we're not seeing guys order any more calves, partly because we had that cold wintry type weather coming in, and guys didn't really want to get any new calves in for that, but mostly because they've already turned all their cattle out. And we did see some blizzard type conditions in parts of Kansas, western Kansas, and northern panhandle of Texas. You know, that was kind of tough on those cattle that were just turned out, but it sure didn't last long. You know, by the next morning things were already melted, and by the early parts of this week it's going to be back in the 80s, so shouldn't be a big thing to worry about. But not as many orders for southeastern calves, and they were steady to $3 lower for last week. The real-time index on Beef Market Central was higher, but not as much higher as you might expect. 140.98 to end the week. That was $1.29 higher than the same time at the end of the previous week. Your CME feeder cattle index passed it up just a little bit at 140.138. And you think, man, that should be higher than what it shows, but that's a 7-day moving average there, and there's not as these yearlings are running out. There's not as many of them really high yearlings as there was earlier in the week there, and at the tail end of the previous week at some lower levels. So it's taken a little bit for that to climb up there to high as what some of them are. But you look at a market on Friday, there was the most active market we had in the nation, and it was because they had the Missouri Livestock Marketing Association's livestock auctioneer contest, and this year it was hosted by the Eastern Missouri Commission Company in Bowling Green, Missouri. The Angel family there has been in the cattle marketing business forever. Years ago it was in Columbia, Missouri, and years before that it was in Centralia, Missouri. They can also fix you up with some Western duds in Centralia at their Western store there. But John and Justin, their dad Luther, and they got their sister and brother-in-law and everybody involved, and sure to shoot you a square deal. But nice market right there, right on the Illinois line. But they had a load, and my friend Greg Harrison was reporting that and sending me texts. Had a load of 947 pound steers, bring 139.85. I told him I wasn't a mathematician, but that was getting pretty close to $1,400 a head. They had another load, weighed 995 at 138.50, and I thought that was wild enough. And then a little bit later, he sent me another load that weighed 993 at 133, and I said, well, that wasn't all that high really for what you already told me. And he said, yeah, but that last load was just clowns. So they were selling all types of cattle, and not even the top of the quality there for a big price. But one of my favorite auctioneers from Illinois there, Brian Curlis, was maid of honor one more time and didn't quite get the deal, but he come in reserve champion. But you check out DV Auction for a few more production bull sales. I know I'm going to be broadcasting one down at Stephenville, Texas this Saturday, but got a few more of them if you're still looking for a bull. Of course, we always have a regular slate of regular cattle auctions. We've got hay auctions on there. We've got a little bit of everything. But if you guys own a sale barn or are associated with one, wondering why you're not getting these individual quotes on there, you're not getting mentioned as much on this report, on your feeder flash, or some of the things that are coming from Cattle Market Central and Beef Market Central, you don't have to be broadcasted with DV Auction, but it helps. But you can get hooked up with our automated market reporting system there, and just get a hold of us and get involved in that, and we can hook you up. But from home DV Auction office here in Canyon, Texas, we'll talk to you next week.